Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Steven Inks, and this week I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to a conference in Washington DC, which if you're not from the United States, that is the opposite side of the country from where I live in California. So since I'll be going on an airplane, I thought it would be the perfect time to test some fountain pen travel tips and see if they ring true, if there's any concern about flying with a fountain pen on an airplane, all of those things. So I'm taking some of my favorite pens and we're going to test some of the tips that I found online. Let's get started. To gather this information, I looked in 3 places. I found an article from Goulet Pen Company and also one from Goldspot Pens. And then I also looked at the fountain pen Reddit community. And what I found was there were 3 pieces of advice that really kind of stood out on those 3 sources. And one of them that came up a lot was to store your pens pointing up all the way, all the time. And what this would do is to keep ink from coming out of the pen. So the theory here is, or what has been said is that the change in pressure as you ascend in an airplane can create some problems with your ink. So that is why if you store it point up, then you don't get ink on, you don't get as much ink because any air bubbles inside the pen can take the brunt of that pressure change, as opposed to if it were facing down, then the first thing to come out would be ink. So that kind of makes sense. I'm curious how much ink we're talking here. The results were sort of inconclusive, particularly the Goldspot Pens article and the Reddit posts that I read. It seems that most of the people who've experienced this didn't say there was much of an issue, or that it was just a little bit of ink kind of leaking out the end of the pen, which isn't that big of a deal as long as you have something to clean it off with and you're careful when you open them up. So good to know. The other thing is that I've always wanted to test is with vacuum filling pens, the vacuum sealing part of the pen is closed to seal off ink. However, if it's open, you get a better flow. So they recommend that you leave it open. You leave it closed on an airplane and open it up when you get back in. I've always wondered how true that is, so I'm actually bringing 2 vacuum pens for this purpose, one open and one closed. And we're gonna see if there's a difference. I'm also bringing a 3rd vacuum pen, my Asvine V126, and the reason I'm bringing this one is for another bit of advice that I got, which was that you should always carry on your pens as opposed to checking them. Now, with checked luggage, there's the added problem that maybe there could be somebody messing with your pens, dropping them, throwing them into the wrong place. So we'll see what that ends up being. I will protect my pens by wrapping them in some cloth or a towel, that sort of thing, just to make sure. The other bit of advice that I thought was really interesting is to fill your pens as much as possible. This is especially true for vacuum sealing pens because then there's no air to escape. And then a full ink pen, in theory, would leak less. So I'm curious about that. I am going to fill one of these pens up completely full, and then we will look at what that is. And for that, we are going to use these 2 for consistency. These 2 Majohn A1 pens that we have used. We've done videos on these in the past. They're great little pens, and since they have the exact same mechanism inside them, it'd be a great way to test. So these are going to be fun pens to bring on my trip. I am going to do 2 things that are recommended in all 3 articles without testing them. One is that I'm going to put my pens in a Ziploc bag to protect all the rest of my stuff, just in case they do leak. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I follow and respect the TSA regulations on liquid travel. which, by the way, at the current time and date that we are filming this video, it is to bring less than 100 milliliters of liquid. So considering that my my vacuum sealing pens hold about 2 milliliters, I think we're good. But it's good to think about that if you're thinking about traveling with bottles of ink, that in some cases you might run into some trouble and you don't want to create trouble. So those are the things we're going to do. We're going to have a look at these pens and see how they turn out. All right, pen people, here's the thing that we've got to do. We got 4 different pens that we are filling up today. By the way, the reason why this 5th pen right here is not being filled up is because this is the one. This right here is the one that, since it's already got some ink in it from a previous video, the one about my book, What Kind of Pen Is That? Check it out on my website, steveninks.com. It's halfway full, and this is going to be the pen that we test the halfway full theory. Does it leak more when there's a big old air bubble in it? So we've got that already set up. But we got to do 4 different inks. So today what we're going to be doing is Planetary Motion from Colorverse, and that's going in my Majohn A1, which has a filling mechanism that it requires an eyedropper, so we're going to do that. And then the other Majohn A1 is going to get DC electric blue, or sorry, electric DC blue private reserve ink. Had to do it, going to DC, so that's going in there. We have the Asvine V126 going to get Noodler's Walnut, and the other PenBBS 456 that I'm going to be taking is going to get Nightshade, another Noodler's ink that I really like. So we're going to fill all these up right now. Let's just get to it. Okay, here's a quick breakdown of the pens, what's doing what and where it's going. And I also went ahead and cut these little pieces to remind me later. I'm going to wrap them around the clips of the pens so that when I take the pens out, I can remember what I did with each one. So the Asvine V126 is going to be carry on. There we go. Chamber is going to be open. So we're just going to grab that. Wrap it around and snap it under. Okay. Next, PenBBS 456. This one is going to be carry on. Chamber closed. I did go in and refill it, and you can't really see, but because of the pattern, but I think we're gonna see something, yes or no, regarding the whether this is the right way to travel. Okay, there we go. Let's see. The other PenBBS that I have that's half full is going to be checked and chamber closed. There we go. And then here we go. We've got a checked that's 100% filled. That is going to be this Majohn A1. Truly, this is amazing content, watching me struggle with a piece of paper. Once again, proving that you guys will watch anything. And then my other Majohn A1 is checked, but it's not 100% full because we did run out of the Colorverse Planetary Motion. Sad to see it go. There we go. All right, so these pens are going into these zipper bags. Name brand Ziploc. Don't go with that cheap stuff. Protecting all the clothes and all of the comfort materials, and we'll see how they go on the flight.
Okay, so it turns out I did not have any time to draw while on my trip, but I did get to see some of the cool sights of DC, hang out with my work colleagues, take lots of pictures and videos, saw the Library of Congress and a cool little night market. I had some ramen, and they had sriracha sauce at the restaurant, which they did not offer to me. Anyway, I ended up having a whole bunch of fun. DC is a really cool area to visit, especially around the holidays. Yeah, that was a cool part of the trip. All right, here we are, roughing it in the hotel bedroom with my best supplies, which would be just a little lapel mic to my phone, and I'm using phone video, so welcome to a step back in quality on this channel. I'm sure you'll know what's going on. Just in case we get a huge mess with these pens, I did bring a little bit of toilet tissue, and we can look and see if there's anything messed up. But first of all, this is my carry-on baggage pens. So far, so good. They look like they were not damaged, which is great because I would be devastated if anything happened to these two of my favorite pens. I took a little bit of a risk taking them here, and let's see if they leaked at all. So if you recall, this is, well, let's open it up and see. This is the PenBBS 456 in the lemon cookie finish, and it is carry-on chamber closed, and it looks fantastic. Look inside the cap. There's no ink whatsoever. If I put this here, I'll probably get a little bit of ink because obviously the pen should be flowing. I'm not getting any ink at all, just a little bit down there. Okay, so I'm going to need to aerate this a little bit if I'm going to use it this week, but that's good news. So chamber closed, vac fill on the carry-on, totally acceptable. Let's have a look at chamber open. This is the Asvine V126, and it is chamber open carry-on, and this is completely filled. Looks like $1,000,000. It's hard to tell probably on this camera, but this is a 100% clean cap. That's awesome. With the chamber opened, I'm assuming we'll get more ink. Yes, it's ready to flow, but it's not like the flow doesn't look anything dangerous or scary. It's just the regular amount of flow that you get when you've got a pen that's ready to rock. So, okay, carry on. Carry on with the carry-on. Let's see what happened with our checked baggage pens, and that will be these right here in this pencil case, which I've had for, oh gosh, like 10 years, I think. It has seen better days. You could see where the ink has been. There's a huge old ink stain on this somewhere. Oh yeah, right there. So it's not the first time a pen has leaked on it. Let's just see what we've got here. So these are the 3 pens that I brought, and we'll look at what they are and, you know, what's going on with them. Okay, here is my, okay, I think we got a leak here. I think we got one. Okay, checked, chamber closed, half full. Let's see what we've got. I think there might be, yeah, she burped. All right, it's the first one. So I'm assuming that this pen got rattled about a bit, and half full. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of truth to those stories about taking a completely full pen, which to me seems counterintuitive. You'd think, okay, there's less ink in the pen, there's less to get out, but in this case, we really did have a little bit of a pen explosion. It's not terrible. Definitely there's been some wasted ink, which is a shame, but this will clean out with just a couple of squares of toilet tissue, I'm pretty sure. But look at how much is in there. So there's clearly a difference between carrying one completely full and just partially full. Also the difference between checked and carry-on. So that's good to know. All right. But keeping in mind, this is a beloved pen in my collection. I would be devastated if something happened to it. And it, honestly, after cleaning it up, it looks completely fine. I don't see any cracks or anything like that, so good to go. All right, let's have a look at these Majohn A1s. What we have here is checked 100% full, okay? And I'm just gonna do this over the tissue so we can see. Okay, looks, I mean, flows nicely, looks totally clean. Just check inside and see what it looks like on the inside, because it's important to consider not the outside, but what it's like on the inside. This is true for pens and for people. The inside looks gold, so that worked out well. Fully full. I'm on board with that travel tip, which was one of the ones that I thought was kind of a little screwy, but turns out that seemed to work really well. I have a feeling that this pen will be not a problem either, but it's only partially full, and it was checked baggage, of course. I'm going to get this piece of toilet tissue here, and we're going to open it this way. Okay, nothing. There's not even any nib creep, which is interesting because this pen does sometimes have nib creep. Good flow, but obviously not an excessive amount of flow. Okay, looking at the pen itself, it looks pretty good. Let's see if that's, I thought maybe there was some leakage there, but nope, it's perfectly good. So that's what we know. Now the question is if during my work conference I'm going to have enough time to draw something of the sights that I see. If not, you're going to see a video of me at home drawing from pictures of some of the things that I saw on this trip. Anyway, that's all for now. See you soon. So, fun story. I forgot to bring my sketchbook and ended up buying one, which I didn't use, and then I got this sketchbook that my work colleague happened to have on them that they didn't want, and so they gave it to me. Follow me for more financial tips and advice for artists. It was fun to do these drawings after the fact. I think I bit off more than I could chew with some of them because I'm not very good at architectural drawing, and it was a big learning curve. I think I did grow a lot as an artist just trying to do stuff that was outside of what I normally do. Particularly this kind of Chinese arch that I found when we were in downtown Lafayette, I believe, was really hard to do, and I definitely ended up flubbing some of the details to make it work, but I definitely wouldn't have even tried to do something like this a year ago, so I'm proud of me. I'm growing, I'm learning. I hope you're along for the journey. And still haven't quite figured out how to do drawing live, especially when you're in mixed company, so it ended up being better to not disturb my colleagues by constantly taking out a sketchbook and doing the photos afterwards. So that's kind of what I recommend if you do some traveling and you're in mixed company, rather than making them stop all the time if it's not natural. Just take some pictures and bring them back. You'll always have the memories. I hope you enjoyed this. It's not the normal thing that I draw on this channel, but I did have fun with it. I'm going to come back to these pictures at another time too, I'm sure.
And so I guess in the end, it seems like none of the tips that I followed seem to matter one way or the other. Of course, this is not an exhaustive test, it's just my personal experience. I highly do recommend, if you travel with your fountain pens, just bag them up or put them in some sort of a sealed container in some way, just in case something happens, like it did with my PenBBS 456. However, on the way back to the West Coast, And where I am situated, I had no issues with my pens coming back the other way, excuse me, and I packaged them the exact same way. So I guess that's all there is to say. Thank you for checking out my channel, for watching this video. Give it a like, give me a subscribe if you enjoy this content. Check out my book, What Pen Is That? It's on my website, steveninks.com. And thank you so much for being involved in this channel. I look forward to hearing your travel tips, horror stories, and whatnot involving your fountain pens in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.